Hey everybody, I'm Justin with AmericanMuscle.com and welcome to my quick overview and install of the K&N Series 77 cold air intake kit available for your 2011 through 2014 5-liter powered F-150. If you've been watching these videos for any time now, you know what we're going to talk about in the intake reviews. We're going to talk materials, we're going to talk what kind of benefits you can expect when bolting this thing up to your 5-liter truck, and then finally we'll briefly cover the installation. And right up front guys, for your 5-liter powered F-150, you're looking at a no-brainer job. 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, with some more detail coming up later on. So the Series 77 from K&N should appeal to truck owners out there looking to step into an aftermarket intake option from one of the most trusted names in the aftermarket, and one that will help deliver a little bit more power and sound with or without a custom tune. But maybe the most important factor here with this particular intake, you guys can see it, right? This is definitely going to be for the F-150 owners out there looking to add a little bit more flash or a little bit more bling underneath the hood by going with a brightly polished option as opposed to an all-black intake that seems to dominate the category. So K&N is one of those companies that doesn't really need an introduction. They've been a dominant force in the aftermarket and are certainly one of the leaders in aftermarket filtration. And that is really well represented here on the site. They have a bunch of options for the 5-liter truck and of course the Mustangs as well, including the Series 57, the Blackhawk option, and last but not least the 77 that we have here on the table. All pretty similar from model to model, but with minor differences. Now the Series 77 that we have in this video is going to be a little bit unique in the K&N lineup and from other aftermarket intakes in the category, thanks again to that brightly polished finish here. Now in my experience guys, there's two completely different kind of camps out there when it comes to truck owners. People who enjoy seeing all that flash and that brightly polished chrome, or people who just prefer to keep things a little bit more subdued, maybe a little bit more OE in appearance and go with something that's black for instance. This, obviously, I don't even have to tell you, right? I mean, this is gonna be for the owners out there who just prefer that chrome or a little bit more flash under the hood. But added bling aside, of course, there are some power benefits to talk about when installing an aftermarket cold air intake like this, and K&N's claiming roughly 10 horsepower, 10 foot-pounds of torque when adding their no-tune required Series 77. And honestly, I think that's gonna be pretty much right on the money, guys. Don't expect massive gains when doing an intake like this without a tune, because it's just not gonna happen. Instead, high single digits, low double digits is usually par for the course. And that is one of the good things to point out too about this intake. You can bolt this thing up and go with or without a custom tune, make a little bit more power like we just said without a tune, a little more with a tune of course, make a little bit more sound underneath the hood, and some of our customers have even pointed out picking up a small bump in fuel economy. Now while I can't personally confirm this, it is worth pointing out, and it's another reason to check out some of the customer reviews on the product page if you haven't done so already. These are guys and gals out there who have actually purchased the product, installed it, and are pounding the pavement out there, and they have some real world feedback that you should definitely check out. But let's break down some of the individual components here with the K&N Series 77. We already talked at length about the intake tube itself, but just so you know, it is made from lightweight aluminum and then polished to this bright shine you see here in front of me. You're also going to be receiving one of K&N's bread and butter filters, guys. This is what they built their brand on. This is probably what they're known most for. It is washable, it is reusable, and you do have to re-oil this thing from time to time. Definitely going to save you some money in the long run compared to those cheap paper element factory filters. You're tossing those things every 10,000 miles or less depending on their condition. Not the case with the K&N. In fact, they're saying you can use this thing up to 100,000 miles before it's time to throw this puppy away and start all over again. So again, we'll save you some money in the long run, and it will be a lot easier to know when it's time to clean this thing thanks to the open element design. Another benefit with the open element or open filter design is the fact that you're going to be hearing a lot more awesome noise coming from underneath the hood of your 5-liter truck. 9 times out of 10, this is a noise a lot of people enjoy, and that's something you see in the customer review section. But maybe one of the best things about the K&N lineup, including the Series 77 here, is the price. Super affordable when it comes to aftermarket intake systems, and for the brightly polished version, you're going to be looking at the mid to high $200 price range. Far more affordable than some other options on the site, which can oftentimes land in the $300 to even $400 range. Not the case here with K&N. Well, let's switch gears and quickly talk about the installation. We're not going to go step by step here, guys, but we'll just give you a better idea of what you can expect when it comes time to crack open the toolbox. We're gonna go 1 out of 3 wrenches on my overall scale of difficulty. This is not a difficult install, so if you're not what you would consider a very mechanically inclined person, these are always a great place to start cold air intakes. You're only gonna be looking at about an hour tops for the install time, but if you've done this a few times, I'd probably say 30 minutes or less is what you're looking at here. As far as basic tools, guys, well again, basic is the word here. Flathead screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, things like that, including a socket set. The one kind of curveball we might throw at you tool-wise is going to be a set of Torx bits, and that's just going to help you remove the mass airflow sensor from the factory intake and get it reinstalled into the K&N here. As far as the installation process, guys, well, I like to deal with these things kind of already assembled. So remove that factory intake and the upper portion of the air box kind of all in one piece. You can do this simply by removing it at the throttle body connection and disconnecting a few things at the air box. Don't forget about the hoses and such on the intake tube itself. Once that is out of the way, get to work installing the new K&N in reverse order. Again, put this thing together first out of the truck. It'll make putting it back in a whole lot easier, trust me. Hook everything up, your hoses, your mass airflow sensor, and you should be good to go. As for my final thoughts on the K&N here, guys, I think the Series 77 is going to be a no-brainer for truck owners out there who want an affordable intake and still want to grab that brightly polished finish. This thing will help you make a little bit more power, will definitely produce a little bit more sound. It is 50 state legal, and again, you can use it with or without a custom tune. So that is my review of the K&N Series 77, which you can grab right here at AmericanMuscle.com.